Hello and welcome to my couch. This is where I often do my knitting diaries, at least for now. I haven't done the knitting diaries and I probably should have checked, but it's been a while and I've been working hard and I can't show you almost any of what I've been doing with the knitting and the crochet, but I can show you some. And if you're new here, welcome. If you're not new and you've been here before, you know I sold my 3-bedroom house. I'm packing up. I have way more stuff than I thought I had, even though I knew I had a lot of stuff. When you start packing up, oh my, that's a whole other level of a bunch of stuff. So I've been packing up as much as I can, and I'm happy to report that I finally sold something. Not of the stuff that I've made, but like some of the stuff that I need to sell to get out of my house. It's great. That means I'm getting money. I've actually gotten the money and I haven't made deliveries yet. Partly because one of the things someone is coming to pick up. Anyway, point is, I haven't done the knitting diaries. I've been busy with packing up my house and I have been continuously knitting and crocheting amongst everything, and then I promptly packed stuff, so I can't show you everything. I can show you some things, and I'm gonna tell you what I've been thinking lately. Or not, yeah. I'm gonna tell you some things. So if you want to know about what I'm gonna tell you, and I really hope I'm in frame because, yeah, everything is a mess right now. So is my brain. I'm gonna start with what I've finished. And as I said, most of what I've done, I can't even tell you what I've done because I packed it away, so I don't know. I have done something though, and I'm so excited, and it was so enjoyable making this because I needed something to be, because everything feels like chaos right now. I needed something really, really simple and easy, and something where I didn't have to use a single brain cell to do anything. So I've been using a yarn that I've used before and I really like it. It's this yarn, and it's like, can you focus? I don't know. I like this yarn. It's a rather thin yarn and I use needle 3mm, so it doesn't end up being very thick, and that was actually part of the goal. And if you watch any of my other knitting diaries, okay, maybe not any other, but like the few previous one, you know the thing about this color and these yarns. And I bought 16 balls of this yarn because as I said, first of all, I wanted something simple and easy, and I also wanted a blanket. So I bought 16 balls of yarn because I calculated that I needed probably 14, which wasn't that far off. So I bought 16 to make sure, and I know that I use slightly less than 2 balls of yarn to make a pair of socks, so I thought if I use 14 balls of yarn, that will give me a leftover of 2 balls so I can knit a pair of socks. The thing is, I didn't use 14 balls of yarn. I used 13. And it's all finished, and I can't hug it too much because it's wool, and I can't have wool on my skin too much because I start itching. But it's, I won't be able to put everything in frame because it's big. It's bigger than I intended, I will admit. But like, I'm not used to like calculating how many stitches I need to get the width that I want. So the original idea was make a blanket, and it's so soft, but I can't cuddle it because itchiness. But the original idea was to make a blanket. It's just a simple garter stitch blanket. So all I needed was to cast on a number of stitches, and then I just needed to knit and eventually weave in ends. But the original idea was, oh, I want a blanket that's like 90 times 120 centimeters. So it's not a quadrant, more like a rectangle, because I prefer that in blankets. And at first I cast on 350 stitches. Way too many. I could see that immediately. So I pulled it out and then I did 320 because like I need less, but like how many less? I had no idea. 320 also way too many. And then I was like, okay, let's go the other direction because I can't have it be this many or this big. So I cast on 260 stitches and thought, well, this seems a lot better. And then I knitted almost a full ball of yarn, and one ball of yarn is 50 grams. But when I knitted like almost a full ball of yarn, I looked at the width and I thought, I'm not sure. And I couldn't, my needle, my circular needle were 80 centimeters, so I couldn't like stretch it all out to get the full width because I wouldn't risk losing any stitches. So after knitting almost a ball of yarn, I tried to measure and I thought, I'm not sure if it gets like the width that I really want. So I didn't unravel, I just started from the other side, other end on that yarn, and I cast on 280 stitches. You know, that's the fourth time I have cast on stitches. And then I went along with 280 stitches and just basically, I didn't unravel what I had done until I was like knitting on it. I don't know how to explain it, but I mean, use your brain, I'm sure you'll figure it out. So basically I had knitted from one side and then I started knitting from the other side. And while I was knitting what I ended up with, it kind of unraveled as I went along. I should have gone, I didn't need to cast on the fourth time. I know that now. Now, you know, that I'm finished. I knew it earlier, but by then I had gotten so far that I'm like, I'm not unraveling that much. So it ended up being 104 instead of 90. So, you know, that's a lot more. Times 133. So definitely bigger than what I intended. And I've already used it a little bit, not a lot. I mean, it is summer, but I'm also in Norway and some summer nights are chilly. Today is really warm and right now not thunder, but it has been like thunder and not much lightning, but the sky has definitely been opening up and like pouring out rain today. But yeah, I finished it and I woven all the ends and I'm so happy with it. It's so big, it's beautiful, and I love the colors. I mean, can you see them? I don't know. The struggle with my camera, I don't know what you're seeing. I have an idea what you're seeing, but not like fully. But yeah, I thought I would be using 14 balls of yarn, and I thought I would end up with a smaller project. I ended up with a bigger product than what I thought and only using 13 balls of yarn. So yeah, that left me with 3 balls of yarn. And I started this one from like the number of stitches I ended up with. I started it on June 28th and hold on. I need to look at my notes. Those were not the right notes. Hold on. Yes, I found my notes. I started it on the first ball of yarn, Wednesday, 28th of June, and I was weaving in all the ends on a Sunday, 30th of July. So it took me basically a month and 2 days to do this whole thing because I've been super stressed lately and overwhelmed, and when it gets too much, I have been reaching for this knit because it's been calming me down and quieting my brain that is freaking out because of all the things to do and I don't know where to start and it's really overwhelming and I'm struggling to be able to sell all the stuff because for Facebook Marketplace, yeah, that's scammer heaven, I think. And I've been putting I put like sale stuff up for the things I'm gonna get rid of on Facebook Marketplace, and like the groups in my area for like sale and buy on Facebook. Yeah, that hasn't really worked out well. And then we have another website here. It's called Finn. And I put up 2 things there today, and like half an hour after I put up those 2 things, for one of them, it's a big table and chairs, and I put it up for one price, and someone offered me double and said I'm coming to pick it up today. And I was like, okay, you want to pay twice as much as I asked for it? I'm good with that. So something is going my way, and I'm really, really happy that I finished this blanket. And I'm just so excited. And I've come to realize I love knitting blankets. I kind of already knew that before I started this, because over the past 6 months or something, I've knitted I think 5 baby blankets. Yeah. And this was finally a blanket for me. It's way bigger than any of the baby blankets, obviously, but I am considering what yarn and what colors I will do on my next blanket. I love cuddling up under blankets in winter. Any other time of the year too, as long as I don't overheat, because, I don't like melting. Humans should not melt. We're not meant to melt. But I would love to knit another blanket, because it was just so enjoyable and so relaxing, and just no pattern, no nothing, just garter stitch all the way through. Oh, that is my new favorite way of knitting at the moment, at least. Don't get me wrong, I like knitting otherwise too, but when you're really overwhelmed, you just need something simple, easy to calm you down, and that's really enjoyable. A garter stitch blanket is in my opinion, the perfect solution. At least for me. But being I had bought 16 balls of yarn and I only used 13, I was like, well, what am I gonna do? I knew I was gonna knit some socks, so I have started. I finished one sock, and I have found I'm not crazy about knitting magic loop, because I worried that it would get very, I don't know how to explain it. I'm worried that you're gonna see where it kind of the sides. But starting the toe and then using magic loop for the toe box, I love that. It's so simple, it's so easy, and I love that I can do ribbing, because I prefer to have ribbing on the top of the foot, not under it obviously, but on top of the foot, because you can put more socks under between the feet and the socks if you itch from wool, or you could just use them as is, because they stretch if they need to, and they don't stretch if they don't need to, I love it. So I knitted magic loop on the toe box, and then I have this one is almost perfect in my opinion. This is what was the heel called? Shadow short row heel? Potentially. But it's the heel that doesn't matter whether you do it from the bottom up or from the... It's equal. It's the same. Whether you do it from one side or the other, it doesn't matter. It ends up the same. And I managed to make it with no holes this time. Sometimes I get a little hole. And I didn't this time. And I made the leg a little longer, so it kind of, covers a bit more of the leg. And no, I have not woven any ends, because as soon as I finished this one, I started the next one. Also knitted from the toe up, and these will become a pair. And I'm very close to being almost done. I mean, look at that. It's not much more I have to knit here. It's just a little bit more knitting. And if you're wondering about the stitch marker, this is how much I've knitted today. So yeah, by next video this will be done, that's for sure. Yeah, and it's obviously the same yarn that I used in my blanket, but this, it's so much left of the second ball, and I mean I do have the third ball, so the rest of this plus this will definitely become another pair of socks. So I'm very happy that I had 3 balls of yarn, because that apparently equals 2 pairs of socks. I love that. But as I said, I have been packing up so much, and part of how I've been packing, because space is an issue. When I've been putting things in boxes, if I've had like a little hole here or there, it's like, oh, there's a little bit of space, but there isn't much I can put in, but I want to really fill all the boxes. And I was like, oh, but I have yarn. So I have yarn. I have a few boxes that are only yarn, and then there are a few balls of yarn everywhere. Okay, not everywhere, but wow, there is like, I'm writing on top of the boxes what's in them. It's like a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and yarn. And then this box, a little of this, a little of that, and yarn. And then yarn. And like on so many boxes, there are like a few balls of yarn. So like it's yarn everywhere. At least that's what it feels like. So trying to find all the yarn, it's gonna be an interesting challenge when I unpack. Don't have anywhere to unpack yet, because I'm filming this on on Friday, 4th of August, and September 1st is less than a month away, but that is when I do no longer have a house, because September 1st is when I transfer my house to the next owners. So I've been packing up most things, except the thing I'm gonna try to sell and all. But I was like, oh no, this only took me a month and a couple of days. These socks so far has taken me, hold on, I'll see. Let's see. Monday to, today's Friday. I started on Monday, and I will definitely finish today, which means these have taken me 5 days. Yeah, I'm gonna need to not pack all my yarn, so I got something to do for the rest of August. And yeah, sure, I keep putting things online for sale, and I keep trying to figure things out, and I keep cleaning my house and keep looking for a house and all the things. But I needed to make sure I had enough yarn available, which is cool. Except there was one thing I didn't think about. Because I packed away pretty much all the patterns and a lot of the yarn and all the other things. And the one thing I did not think through, I also packed pretty much all the needles, all the knitting needles, both circular and double pointed, and all the crochet needles and everything, except this set of double pointed needles, which are 3mm, and the pair of circular needles that I was using, also 3mm. So those are the only needles that I currently have available. And I mean, they're in a box in my parents' house. All the boxes are in a jumble, but I've written on the box what's in them. And I know my mom has a bunch of knitting needles if I get fully desperate, because there's no point buying new ones because we have so much of knitting needles. So I'm not buying any needles. I just have to borrow mom's if these 2 sets doesn't work. But I mean, so yeah, I didn't think through the needle situation. I did, however, think through the yarn situation. And I have to restart you because you're about to cut me off. Hold on. Alright, so I made sure to have yarn available, which is great. It's just, I really wish I had thought through like the needle situation. I did not. So that's the thing. But I have my basket. In the bottom of this basket, there is a cardigan that I'm knitting on that I'm not finished with. And the cardigan is dark blue, and I can't show you because it's under all of this. And the cardigan, I've knitted, the only thing I'm lacking is the two thingies. The one thingy for buttons and the one other thing for buttonholes and the neckline. That's the only thing I need to be done with that cardigan. It's in the bottom. It feels a bit intimidating. I've been putting it off for since October, potentially, of last year. So, give it another couple of months and I've been putting it on hold for a year. I know. And I'm pretty sure that these needles will work with that. I've also, and I have the pattern for that. And I managed to remember to grab one yarn because I have some yarn for wool shorts that I want to make. So I grabbed the yarn without quite realizing that I need, I need needle 3mm, but I also need needles 4mm to make this pattern happen. Those needles are in a box somewhere. But I have yarn available, and the yarn that I'm using for the socks and that I used for the blanket, I have the rest of that one here, so that will be another pair of socks. And I have that yarn in that I've used kind of basically like leftovers. Oh, and also the color of the yarn is 917, but if you go and look online for this one, it's Sea Deep, and I like it. That's the name. But I also have different colors of the same yarn. I really like this one. I really like the colors of this. I'm not as crazy about these colors because it's a little too much, and I like it more muted and not as I'm not gonna say this is in your face colors, but it's definitely more out there. And I love it, I just don't want it for me. So I don't know if this will be enough for one pair of socks, but we'll see. Other yarn that I have here is this one, and then this is really thin yarn. It's supposed to be used on needle 2.5mm, and I do love it. And this yarn is the yarn that I knitted my first sweater out of. I don't have that sweater because the yarn is thin, and I didn't quite think that through when I knitted my first sweater because I hadn't done it before. It was a little too snug for me, so my sister got it for Christmas. But I have enough yarn because I have 3 balls and a tiny bit extra. And what I used for the sweater was 3 balls and the rest of this. So I used almost 4 balls of yarn for a sweater. But I have never knitted a t-shirt, and I would like to try, because this should totally be enough with the 3 balls plus a little extra to knit a t-shirt. And if I can, the sweaters that I have knitted, I've knit them from bottom up. But I want to try to knit a t-shirt from the top down. But as I said, I need 2.5 needles, and I currently don't have access to those. But my mom has a bunch of knitting needles too. What I will make of the other yarn in this basket, I don't know. Because this is not quite enough yarn for a pair of socks, but it is great sock yarn. It's this is a blend. This is a wool blend for 80% wool and 20% nylon. and I love it. I have some socks of this yarn already, but I'm not sure if it's enough. And then I have some other yarn. I got some white superwash. This is 100% wool, so I won't make socks of this, but I can make, because 100% wool, I've made socks of that before and they get worn out so fast. But I could make like this part of the sock, so not the foot, but like the thing that's over up your leg. I can use that, but I don't know. If you got any ideas, let me know. And because I need to make sure I have enough yarn apparently, and also I didn't have any more like small clean boxes, so I have another basket filled with yarn. Isn't it pretty? I'm not gonna take it out and show you all of it, but I mean, yeah, it's a lot of yarn. So I don't know what to make of all of this, but I think, I don't know how well you can see it. This color, this, and the black one in the back here would probably all be perfect for knitting wrist warmers. So I might make that happen. But we have the thing about, like, you know, the yarn. Oh, this one needed a 3.5 millimeter needle, of course, when I only have 3 needles. And then I have 2 boxes that I haven't packed because, you know, in case I needed more. I need access to yarn, you know. Oh, this one actually, I did tape it. But this one is a yarn called Charisma, and it's bright green color. And I showed you in a different video. It's only that yarn in here, and it's for a sweater. And this box has more yarn, obviously. That's what we do. We have yarn. And the wool shorts. Oh, am I making too much sewing? This yarn is the yarn I intend to use for the wool shorts that I just showed you the pattern of. The pattern calls for like 7 or 8 balls of yarn. I bought 10 to be sure. And you know, if I have leftovers, I can knit wrist warmers. Then this box, I also have this yarn, which is also the same yarn that I knitted with the blanket from. And this is the yarn that I originally thought I would get. I bought this in store, and then I ordered this one online. Technically the same yarn, but do you see the difference? It's not the same dye lot. Totally different dye lots. So this one is a lot more bright and clear, and this is a lot more muted. But I'm very, very happy. And this is the yarn, and I'm also gonna make a pair of socks of, so yes, these will also be socks. So I have a lot of sock knitting in my future, and potentially a lot of wrist warmers. But also, I'm gonna need to find the box with all the needles, and if I don't, I will borrow needles from my mom. But that was today's video. I have to stop trying to hug this. It just makes me itchy. But it also makes me warm if I put it in my blanket on my lap. But it's definitely warm enough right now. But that was today's Knitting Diaries. Thank you so much for watching. I have missed rambling on about my knitting, and I'm sorry that I can't show you everything I've been doing for the past, since my last Knitting Diaries, which was like 2 months ago or something probably. I'm sorry I can't show you everything. It's been packed in a box, potentially multiple boxes. I honestly don't remember and know anymore because it's been a time. But I will sew knit more blankets. So yeah, I hope you have enjoyed this. I know I did, so, you know, let's spread the joy of knitting. Stop hugging the blanket. Put it down. Okay. So yeah, let's enjoy the calming power of knitting and crochet if you prefer that. I have been preferring knitting lately. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!